friends, welcome back to the channel. I bought a special tool to set tow in. We're gonna open it up, we're gonna try it out. I've set tow in this Jeep before with just with the tape measure on the front of the tires and the back of the tires, and I thought I had it right. I'm just not convinced it's where it needs to be. So we're gonna use this new tool and see what my tow in is. And we're gonna see how far off I was just by measuring on the tires. Or maybe I'm right on, I don't know, let's find out. So you're going to hear it ticking in the background. That's my diesel heater. It was minus 18 this morning, so I'm trying to get the shop warmed up so I'm not shaking. All right, friends, here is the tool. Here's how it comes. A little long box, a couple tape measures, some instructions that the print is so dang small I can't read it because I'm getting too old. Here's a couple toe-in brackets. Now, the reason I bought this pair was because of this little slot right here. And I think that's going to be beneficial. When you slide your tape measure in, it's going to kind of hold the tape measure in there like that. See that? So you hook your tape measure, slide it over, and now it's butted up against the side. It's the furthest away, and your tape measure is not going to pop over accidentally. Okay, there's a few steps we're going to do to set this up so we get a good result. One of the things is we're going to measure the height of the center of the hub. And because when we jack up the tires, pull the wheels off, and then we're going to lower it back down so that the center of the hub is at that exact height, so that the vehicle's at centered right height. All right, so the center of that's right at 17 inches. Okay, 17. Okay, now I figured I have to remove my calipers to get these to line up. So let's just see what this looks like here. Yeah, I'm not going to get horizontal. The other thing we can do is just space it out a little bit. We don't have to take the caliper off necessarily. I'll try to get that centered on the bracket there, side to side. Maybe just put a couple spacers and then don't have to take the caliper off. A couple things just for consistency's sake. You know, you don't want to bolt this on the bottom right here and then have the top tip out. And this rotor is not attached. We want to put two lug nuts down here, 1, 2, and then we want to put one on top to lock it down. Now, as far as spacers go, I found some big nuts. I got to measure them to make sure they're the same height, right? Because we don't want to have nuts that are inconsistent. So we're going to turn on the dial caliper here and just see what this comes out to. Let's just set it to metric 13.56 millimeters. 13.19. Is that a big enough difference? I don't know. 13.31. 13.52. So I'll probably put the 13.5s together. It's 13.23 and 13.36. We'll put those together. Okay, so these are close enough here. We're going to put those on the bottom. This top one doesn't matter, so I just found another one that's a different color. Doesn't matter the size. But the one thing you want to pay attention to is if you have these kind of acorn-looking lug nuts, you want to make sure that you have enough thread in here that you don't just run this down and then pop this top off, right? So we're just going to measure this real quick. And this distance between here and here is, 5/8. So we're going to take 5/8. That's 5/8 sticking out right there. We're going to drop it down inside there. But it looks like I can slide this down farther. So I got a long ways I can go. So I can go from 5/8 to 1.25 inches. And that means these bottom ones should be the same. Yeah, that's about 5/8 as well. So again, we'll have plenty of room. We won't pop the ends out of our lug nuts off. Now we can go ahead and run one down right here. Now we're not tightening these down very tight, obviously, but these tapered nuts, I don't want them getting inside here and spreading this apart and screwing that up. I'm just going to put a washer on here, and I don't care if it screws up the washer. I could also look for some other lug nuts that I have that are standard lug nuts, that don't have this end on, that I can just run down. Now, am I going to put the torque wrench on these? No, I'll just use my elbow torque wrench and the little adapter here, and just put a little snug on them just to make sure they feel comfortable, that this isn't going to move around. Okay, good. Let's go to the other side. Okay, and I got these from the same box, from the same store, but they measure about 1/4 millimeter off. Is that going to make a big difference? I don't know. But just don't assume your nuts are all the same size. Okay, now we've got one there. And let's go over to this other side. We've got one over here. Now we're going to level them. Same thing here. Close enough. We've got our two tape measures here. I'm assuming they measure the same. I guess we could check since these are no-name brand. Let's just make sure they're not grossly off here. Assuming my table's perfect. Yep. They are about 1 millimeter different, so we'll keep that in mind. Okay, so we'll just hook this front one in here first, just because it's easy. We can get to it. Let's just make sure it hangs though and doesn't actually hit the floor. So it's keeping the same amount of tension there. Now, even though my jack's under the Jeep and I have these huge jack stands on the frames, I'm still going to just slide this under, I think. And that way I don't have to crawl under the Jeep. Hook that right there. Hopefully that stays. Okay, there we go. Both tapes are swinging. And let's just go check the other side just to make sure that they're engaged the same. Yep. Okay, now the moment of truth. So since my tapes on the other side are stuck underneath this notch right here, we're going to just kind of use this outside edge here as my mark. So we're talking 69 and 5/8 right there. And same thing back here where my tape is hanging in this notch, which is okay, but just so they're straight across, I'm going to slide that over to that notch. And that was 69 and 5/8, and look, that's 69 and a half. Okay, so I'm actually 1/8 toed out. Okay, according to this at least. Wow. All right, well, let's make an adjustment. Had to put some of my favorite stuff on it. Keep creep, but it did get it loose. So let's see here where we're at. Got about one full turn. So we're at 69 and 7/16. And we're at 69 and 13/16. Well, I guess I was a little enthusiastic, so let's go back the other way. Okay, that obviously, sure didn't take much turning. We're at 69 and a half in the front. And in the rear, we're at 69 and 5/8. So that is 1/8 toe in. Now, of course, I don't think I've moved anything, but I'm just going to come over here and double check, because the dumbest thing you can do is make an adjustment and then find out later that, oh yeah, the tape moved or something fell off or something stupid happened. Well, it happens to me all the time. Maybe it doesn't happen to you, but it happens. That kind of stuff happens to me all the time. So I got to double and triple check everything. 69 and 5/8. 69 and a half. Okay, good deal. Okay, well, 1/8 toe in is better than toe out. So I want to double check here just to make sure this is still level. I know the other side's still level. I haven't touched it, but I've been leaning on this rotor here, and I was worried I might have rolled it a little bit, but it looks okay. So that's not too far off, and looks like my measurements are pretty solid. So hopefully this will drive better. If not, we'll add another 1/16. Okay, let me tell you guys what I just realized while doing this. I'm done. This would have been a pain in the butt doing this the old-fashioned way, and I made a video on this before where I was doing solo Jeep front end alignment or toe in adjustment. You know, I put a little needle here, I'd stretch my tape across, I'd measure that one, I'd put a mark on the other tire, then I'd roll this around 180 degrees, roll the other tire around 180 degrees so I had the same mark, and then I'd hook the tape there, get on my creeper, slide under the Jeep, measure the other side. Okay, now I got my measurements. Now I know what I need to do. Come and make my adjustment. Now I got to start all over. You know, measure the back since I already have it back there, and then roll it around, measure the front. You know, it was just, holy cow, it took forever. And then I was off and I had to make another adjustment, tighten it or loosen it, more toe in, more toe out, whatever, and then get under it and measure it again. This is just such a time saver. I can't believe how much I've done this. Even with videoing, I'm done way faster than I would have been doing it the old-fashioned way. So this is not an expensive investment and very much a good investment in your time. Oh look, you know, this can be like a routine maintenance thing now for me because it's so easy. If I've got my tires off, I'm rotating my tires, no big deal. I'll just slap these on and double check my toe in, make sure it's still good. And hey, if you found some value in this video, give it a like. And my hope is that, you know, I can drive this with one hand now and not two hands. And if you drive a lifted Jeep on big tires, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, take care. See you next time.